right, so this is going to be a quick video, or at least I'm going to try to keep it pretty straight to the point. It's about Guitar Center again. So I'm sure a couple of you folks probably have heard that Guitar Center has filed for bankruptcy again. So this is their second stint with bankruptcy. I think in early 2000, I don't know if it's 2012, 13, somewhere around there, they filed for bankruptcy. So they're filing for bankruptcy again. So as many people, or most people might not know, the way bankruptcy works, and this is not to be like a legal discussion, it's kind of like you're either out of the business or you're just restructuring. So there's different chapters, Chapter 7, Chapter 13, and Chapter 11. So they filed for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy, and apparently they miss the interest payments to their creditors of $45 million. So basically what they're going to be looking for is just for relief from their creditors. And I think what they're trying to do is probably do what they call like a debt to equity, basically saying, hey, I know I owe you money. I'm going to give you some ownership of the company. So basically the debt becomes sort of equity in the company. So that's what they're trying to do. So I didn't really want to focus on that aspect of the Guitar Center bankruptcy. I almost feel like there's going to be the demise of Guitar Center eventually. I always said that I just want to be around when Guitar Center goes under with some money and whatever the liquidation prices are going to be, that I'm able to buy several more of these things and stuff. But what I really wanted to talk was two things. One, in my opinion, why I think Guitar Center is going under, keeps filing for bankruptcy, clearly having monetary problems because they're not able to fulfill their debt obligation. So I wanted to talk about the reasons why I kind of feel that that's happening. And the second thing is, kind of want to pose a question to, is it necessarily a bad thing if there's no longer a Guitar Center? Let's put it that way. So first of all, it goes without saying that I absolutely love Guitar Center. I don't think I would even have a channel were it not for Guitar Center. I started this channel several years ago, just a nerdy dude that loves to play guitar. And I was interested in buying, I think it was a Gibson ES-175D. And at the time I had an iPhone and I was at a Guitar Center and I didn't know if I wanted to spend the money. And I just, plopped the iPhone down there and did a video of it and then uploaded it. And from there it became, force of habit. Every time I was trying a guitar in Guitar Center, I would do a video. Some of the guitars I bought, some I didn't. So basically, that's how this channel was formed. And it had nothing to do with like, hey, I wanted to show people I could play, or just even demo guitars and things of that nature. So I'm just a guy that absolutely loves guitars and loves guitar stars, and started putting the stuff up on the net. And lo and behold, several years later, I have this channel. So it goes without saying, I love Guitar Center. I also love the people that work there. I have several musician friends who've worked at Guitar Centers. They've earned their living doing that. And I've gotten a lot of deals from Guitar Center back in the old Guitar Center days when you could do Let's Make a Deal. So I like it. So I like it a lot. But I have to be honest, my real love about music stores is more the neighborhood shops. Like in my case, I live in Massachusetts, like places like Mr. Music, or sometimes the Music Go Around, the Music Emporium. So these are kind of like neighborhood places. In the case of the Music Emporium, it's very, very high end. If you've got some money and you want to spend some dough on really like bourgeois, froggy bottoms and things of that nature, you can sit there and play it. Then you've got the Mr. Music out in Austin, which is a very like grungy, that little neighborhood is filled with folks who are in bands. So it goes without saying, all of the neighborhood guitar stores have their own personality, which I absolutely love. I love the people there, I love the service, and I want to frequent that. And if I have money to spend, I want to spend that on that. So let's pivot back to Guitar Center, in my opinion, why I think Guitar Center went under. I think the primary reason is that they did a horrible job in terms of online marketing, period. It goes without saying that there are a lot of online opportunities to buy an instrument. You've got places like Reverb, you've got eBay, you've got Craigslist, you've got stores like Sweetwater's that have done a really good job. Guitar Center kind of cannibalized itself. First of all, within that whole, I'm thinking that they did a bad job with online marketing. The confusion between Musician's Friend and Guitar Center, it always confused me, because I would buy stuff from Musician's Friend and I would say, hey, I saw it at Guitar Center and it was less money. They competed with each other in many respects, so they cannibalized itself, and so they kept the Musician's Friend as its own separate brand, but it was part of Guitar Center. So it's very, very confusing of what is what and what have you. So that was one thing. The other thing that they did really bad was the lack of information, or when they have something, the pictures are horrible. When you go, I am always on that. I love perusing the Guitar Center, area in terms of used instruments. The problem is it's very, very difficult to kind of understand and see what the guitar is and what you're buying. The pictures are horrible. 9 out of 10 times, when I see something I'm interested in buying, I have to call the store where it's being held at and ask for them to take additional pictures and send me that via email or via text message. So they have done a horrible job just in terms of documenting the equipment. So I wanted to talk, I guess, a little bit more about their failure to market properly online. So it wasn't that Guitar Center did not have a marketing or an online marketing plan, because the total opposite is true, actually. What they did is they didn't do it properly. If you were to Google, say, a specific instrument, a Fender Baja Tele or something, if it was being sold on Guitar Center, you would pick it up. The problem happened when you would actually go to look at that listing. It wasn't enough information. You just couldn't get all that stuff. So that's what they did. So they did have an online marketing plan. They just didn't carry it through. And I think they were in a position, or they are in a position, to have done a much better job. The other thing is they just don't understand their competitors really well, I feel, online. Because within 2 seconds, anybody with a smartphone is able to price things out, get a better deal. Just kind of, you get a lot better answers than you would at Guitar Center. So they're not the only game in town, like I said before. So the competition is very stiff. And I think failure to really understand their competition is one thing that led, or is leading to, I think, their demise. So that's one thing. So the other thing is, they were selling things, but I think their market and what they were selling didn't really meet the needs of a lot of guitar players. So, for example, I will go to Guitar Center during Christmas. The holidays are coming up, and what you start seeing at Guitar Center is these Squire pack, these starter packs, which seems to be what they want to do. Somebody at my level, or even once you start playing for a little while, I don't want a Stratocaster starter pack with like an amp and things of that nature. Yes, I kind of get it. They can't just cater to like the boutique type players. I go to Guitar Center to find the used things, like the guy who's been playing that has, a Strat or something. I'm not a Strat player, but that has a guitar that's been lying around, and then they trade that stuff in, or they just sell it off. I don't really go there for the other stuff. So I think they could have done a much, much, much better job off of identifying more higher end items, unique items, hard to find items, many ways that specialty stores do, like Maple Street Guitars. Obviously, everybody probably knows Norm's Guitars, and some of the neighborhood things. Those guys do a really, really good job, and that's their markets. The Chicago Music Exchange, things of that nature. I think Guitar Center really they've lost out on an opportunity like that, because they do get quality, vintage, antique instruments, and they kind of lump all that stuff together with everything else. So, which leads me to my biggest issue. That site is horrible, just trying to find things out. You just accidentally find things out, and I find out used instruments just by walking around the store, pre-COVID, obviously, and then deciding to buy something. So, I think, again, overall, they just missed the boat. They just were not on point in terms of being in touch with the consumer and online marketing in and of itself. So that is one of the biggest reasons why the sales of Guitar Center, albeit they kind of went up during COVID, just because people were buying things and fixing things because they're like home and they want to learn guitar. But overall, it's not sufficient to sustain the debt that they owe. So let's talk about the second question that I had, which is it necessarily a bad thing if we do not have Guitar Center? Guitar Center, to me, is like a Walmart of musical items. the other thing too about the name Guitar Center is also a misnomer because they sell so many things. There's guitar lessons, so that's, you could argue too, they're in all these different lines of businesses, and that's affected them. But is it necessarily a bad thing if it goes under? I think they're kind of like Walmart, and if Walmart were to go under tomorrow, people would not die and not be able to buy their, you know, diapers and their syrup, their food, or whatever they buy from Walmart. They would just go back to their neighborhood stores or their regular grocery stores and their regular, you know, retail chains and get that. So that would be the same thing that happened with guitar centers. And would we necessarily not get deals? No. Remember, we are living in the internet of all things economy. If there's a deal to be had, there's so many people selling things online that you're still going to get a really good deal on things, because there's so many players online for guitars. Like I mentioned before, Craigslist and all these other online retailers, they're doing a great job, and a lot of them are doing a very, very good business. The other thing that might happen is the resurgence of the neighborhood stores. So all those neighborhood guitar stores and music stores that were put out of business because they couldn't compete with Guitar Center. It's hard for you to compete with Guitar Center if you go in there in a package of string at Guitar Center of the Dario, maybe $6.99 or $7, because they're buying it in bulk, and you go in to a neighborhood store because they don't have that buying power, it's $10. It's hard to do that. So it's hard to compete. So, you know, I think you would see a resurgence, though, despite that, in neighborhood stores, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, at the end of the day, Guitar Center is still here. They're having problems, but it won't necessarily be a bad thing if they're not here. And like I said, the biggest benefit would be the resurgence of neighborhood stores and bringing back a little bit of the humanity in the purchasing of guitars like this. All right, I mean, that's it. So we'll see what happens with Guitar Center if they get their, you know what, straight, and they're able to address the $45 million debt and kind of deal with their creditors and kind of see the stuff through. My thing is that a lot of changes is going to take place. So you can't just keep refiling for Chapter 11 or bankruptcy. Eventually something's got to give. All right then. Thank you for watching.